The room was flooded with Rasheeda. She was resolved to face the source of her sadness, even though the news was burning in her eyes and consuming her like a tsunami. "What did you just say?" As she leaned back, her arms leaned against the wall and smiled, she insisted on repeating in a harsh, demanding tone, "I have a baby." He is acting as if Kirk were his father. Rasheeda's heart began to sink after receiving the best possible news. She was inside, frustrated and shocked. "If you believe you can just walk in here with that knowledge, you're a complete moron. That's not my fault since you failed to discipline him." Jasmine shrugged. These were some rather sharp comments. You consider Rasheeda's fury to be a game. "Due to an error, you are attempting to ruin my family." Jasmine stepped forward, a trace of disobedience in her eyes, not a mistake, mind you. "Rasheeda, this is real. You can't deny that this is happening." Rasheeda's blood was boiling, but you're unaware of it. "You can't handle who you are, so I won't allow you to kill me." Jasmine's laugh was cold and disagreeable. "You're not seeing everything." Kirk stood up. Everything changed because of this baby. There was tension in the room. Rasheeda approached her with unspoken words and unresolved feelings. "You seem to be winning with a low tone and a steady, poisonous voice. I'll defend my union, and I'll defend my relatives. You won't simply remove that." In my opinion, Jasmine's eyebrows raised. Love doesn't vanish because you're angry, even though expressiveness is a combination of conceit and humorous dispute. He has had enough of your pranks. Rasheeda inhaled deeply and clasped her palms. "You reassure her that this is all theatrical and that this is my life and my family in order to make her relax. You are merely an interruption." Rasheeda's forecast, if anything, Jasmine shot back at her with a scathing, "I'm the one. He has been promised happiness by whom? It has been a while since you finished the you believe." Rasheeda became enraged. "You're going too far when you walk in here and act like you own this place." Before Jasmine could think, Rasheeda raised her hand and slapped her hard across the face. As the sounds reverberated through the tense atmosphere, Jasmine was shocked and frustrated with her for making you think this was a joke. Rasheeda inhaled deeply and snarled, "The hormone adrenaline, you don't know who you are." Attempting to soothe Jasmine by manipulating her, her face assuming a powerful, obvious radiance. "I'm scared of that slap, please." Suffered more. With her heart pounding from the stress of the conversation, Rasheeda strolled around the living room. The terrible treachery she had learned about the day before was as sharp as a razor, and she was stunned to learn about it. The very idea of that was quite disturbing to her. Intolerable Kirk, her spouse, was more intimate with her than she would have thought to take as she took a deep breath and forced herself to face him. Kirk started to speak but stopped himself. "I'm shivering, but I have to know the truth. I've heard gossip about you and my mother." Kirk's face went white, and for a second he seemed truly bewildered. "Rasheeda, what are you talking about?" "When she was upset with you, she said, 'I swear never to lie to me.'" "Cannot continue to dispute this. I have evidence." "Could you really do this to me, Kirk?" "It's not what you believe about your mother and myself." She shot back, looking surprised, suggesting that he was preparing for the discussion. "You ought to be moving with assurance, but instead you're hiding. I was meant to be friends with you. How could you have betrayed me when you had my mother?" I find the atmosphere's tension to be appealing. With her heart wounded by the weight of broken trust, Rasheeda folded her arms. She waited for him to explain, but it appeared as though the words got stuck in his throat. He circled the room again, as though he was looking for something I had forgotten. He finally managed to say, moving from defensiveness to asserting that it wasn't nothing meant anything to her. "Do you really think that makes it better?" She questioned, surprised. "This is more than a passing relationship. This is my mother. It's more than simply our union being betrayed. It's a familial betrayal." Kirk moved out of the way. His face was engraved with an even more profound pain. "Rasheeda, please let me recover. If you give me an opportunity to explain what's happening, we can resolve this." "You picked her over me," Rasheeda said, her voice faltering not out of fear but out of the agonizing sorrow that is hers. Broke through an impassable barrier and felt the ensuing silence smother him. Rasheeda was fighting against the tears that seemed to pour all over her prevented him from seeing how broken she was. She couldn't stop thinking about how much they loved each other. Your actions, painted by his treachery, have consequences. Kirk, her voice was belligerent. Despite the storm, she spoke strongly. I deserve better than this, within her. You have abused my trust. I deserve your loyalty and respect, especially for my own marriage. In a manner that surprised me. Kirk's view was clouded by agony as he found it difficult to put into words. It merely happened because I was weak and didn't think. I never meant to hurt you. Believing that wasn't your rationale. Rasheeda's remarks were devoid of hostility. You should have known because you are an adult. Better yet, instead of just making this error, you chose to deceive me in the first place. She abandoned him in the worst conceivable way. Need some breathing room to process the turmoil pulsing through her heart. I am not even positive. In a whisper, she said, look at you now. Her voice shaking, she gripped the door. This is too much for you to handle. You've gone too far. Kirk snapped a photo of his hand. Don't grab her wrist, Rasheeda. Continue rather than stop. His words, I love you, lingered in the air, yet Rasheeda experienced a surge of feelings. Her love was pure and sincere. Loving families were divided, she reaffirmed. It's amazing how completely the opposite of love your behaviors are. How can I ever put my trust back in you? She has returned to visit you while crying. She released her arm, her heart racing, hurt but determined to stand by her choice. She went out into the rush of chilly night air that swept over her. And it takes me a minute to realize that you've ruined all we've worked so hard to build. I don't think I'll ever be able to look at you the same way again, anchoring her in the midst of the chaos so that she felt both lost and burden-free. She was deeply troubled by Kirk's dishonesty. Kirk remained at her side by himself, dealing with the consequences of his decisions and the fact that he might have just lost Stormy 25, the person he had been dating for a year and who appeared to be an Atlanta hip-hop musician that he admired. At this time, Rasheeda has had enough, and he is prepared to petition for divorce. Rumor has it that he's wed to Kirk Frost. Rasheeda has endured Kirk's behavior for a long time. Adultery is a never-ending procession. Union Kirk has garnered increased media attention, and he is completely over his duplicity and dishonesty. They have suffered continuously as a result of his acts. Over 3 times for his repulsive actions with his betrayal on TV while on a hip-hop and love getaway is one of the most unforgettable moments. It became famous for its intensity, and Kirk's blatant lie of paternity when Rasheeda was expecting a child in season 2 was connected to the source of the huge drama explosion that rocked them during season 3. Kirk tested his DNA to establish his paternity, a decision that worsened their tumultuous relationship and left Rasheeda reeling. Dramatic arguments also arise after marriage. Despite her advanced age, Rasheeda appears prepared to regain control of her life and end a marriage that has evidently been a turbulent soap opera, particularly with her mother, Shirlene, who famously ran Kirk's motorcycle over during a heated dispute. Operate if the divorce-related claims turn out to. Indeed, that would be a big change. For the turbulent connection between Rasheeda, an experienced cast member known for balancing her work, family, and kids, and Kirk, Rasheeda's adventure was undoubtedly one for the record books. Many people are supporting Rasheeda's decision to end her relationship with Kirk Frost after years of deceit. Rasheeda seemed to be tired of being Kirk's sidekick, dishonesty and deceit, opting to prioritize her happiness and peace of mind as she departs the turbulent. Union Kirk gave a furious shake of his head. Nothing, absolutely nothing. I was left frantically trying to figure out what had occurred, as if she had disappeared with the money. In actuality, I am the one who has harmed Jessica, but according to people's resources, I am currently caught up in a web of accusations that I am trying to hide. With greater compassion, she asked, what are you doing to deal with these accusations and get your possessions back? Kirk took on a tough demeanor, determined that this will be difficult, even if I have already begun with legal seeds. Hardship, but I'm determined to get back what's mine. It's not just about the money. This has to do with telling the truth and getting my record cleared. I'm not just kicking back, and I want everyone to know that. Taking the lead, Jessica reclined. Assessing Kirk's remarks' relevance, the public will likely be quite interested in how you're handling the stress and the situation because of the case's fame. Influence on your reputation. Kirk inhaled deeply. His eyes were a mixture of resolve and fatigue. The public is closely observing this, which makes me anxious, but I have to remind myself that I must maintain my focus. Understanding that this pertains to justice and making sure the truth is out and that it goes beyond just my position. Jessica nodded kindly. Which point do you wish to make clear? Your backers throughout this turbulent. Kirk's voice grew quieter with time, but it remained steady and clear. Thank you very much. To tell the truth, I want our backing. I wish to be completely open and truthful about everything. I just want to keep secrets now. I'm done lying. His tone hardened as he spoke determinedly. Rasheeda found that the strain in her shoulders had subsided a little as she examined him. Can you truly handle the pandemonium that is about to break out? And it could be painful. In a positive tone, he stated that messy was better than nothing. They were joined by a blazing flame. I'm not interested in this. I want to fight to get away from it. For what we still controlled and what we had. Has she grudgingly considered his? To put it another way, trust will not be simple. We will have to start over because it is destroyed. He looked to be being somewhat honest, but I still want to try, even though we might discover that our return won't be ideal if we are both prepared to be honest. Rasheeda's face softened as she finally opened her arms and the wall between them started to come down. Okay, let's begin with the facts. Everything related to it. Kirk inhaled deeply. I was frightened and both relieved and apprehensive. Rasheeda was afraid. I buried myself in diversions because I was afraid I would make mistakes or lose you. But I was also afraid of myself. She sighed a little and acknowledged it. Lips afraid to show weakness and a persistent wound, so I attempted to take. The only method I was aware of was authority.